The text came through at 9:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. The kind of message you don't forget, no matter how hard you try. Don't come to the wedding. You can watch the live stream instead. No, Mom. No, I'm sorry. No explanation. Just those 12 words glowing on my phone screen in the dark, cold and clinical, like I was being uninvited from a conference call. I read it once. Then again. Then a third time, just to make sure I wasn't misunderstanding. I wasn't. I set the phone down on my kitchen table, leaned back in my chair, and smiled. Not because I was happy. Not because I understood. Not because I'd accepted it. I smiled because in that moment, my daughter had no idea what she'd already given away. And what she was about to lose. Let me back up because this didn't happen in a vacuum. I raised Emma alone from the time she was 7 years old. Her father left when things got hard. When the bills piled up, when the late nights became too many, when being a parent stopped feeling like an adventure and started feeling like work. So I stayed. I worked double shifts at the hospital. I attended every dance recital, every parent-teacher conference, every science fair. I packed every lunch with little notes tucked inside. I wasn't a perfect mother, no one is, but I was present. I was there. And for years we were close. We had our own language, our inside jokes, our Friday night movie tradition. When she went to college, we talked on the phone 3 times a week. When she moved back home after graduation, we fell right back into our rhythm. We were a team. Or at least, I thought we were. Things started changing about 2 years ago when she met Derek at a work conference. He was polite enough at first, charming even. Good job. Clean cut. Said all the right things when I met him. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, I felt her pulling away. The calls became shorter. I can't talk right now, Mom. Derek and I are about to head out. The visits became less frequent. We have plans with his family this weekend. The conversations became surface level. When I'd ask about wedding plans, I'd get vague, distracted answers. We're still figuring it out, Mom. There's so much to think about. Then the updates started coming through other people. I found out they'd set a date from her cousin at a family barbecue. I learned about the venue, a beautiful estate I'd never heard of, from a photo she posted on Facebook. I discovered she'd chosen her bridesmaids when one of them tagged her in an Instagram story about dress shopping. I wasn't included. I was informed. By the time the official invitation arrived in the mail, 3 months before the wedding, I already felt like a stranger hovering at the edges of my own daughter's life. But I told myself it was normal. She was busy planning a wedding. She was building a new life with someone she loved. She was stressed. I convinced myself I was overthinking it, being too sensitive, expecting too much. I swallowed my hurt and tried to be supportive from a distance. That Tuesday night, I'd just gotten home from a particularly brutal 12-hour shift at the hospital. 2 emergency admissions, a code blue, barely enough time to eat. I was exhausted, still in my scrubs, microwaving leftover pasta when my phone buzzed on the counter. I saw her name light up the screen and felt that little flutter of hope I always did. Maybe she's calling just to talk like she used to. But it wasn't a call. It was a text. Don't come to the wedding. You can watch the live stream instead. I stared at the screen. Blinked. Read it again. Then I waited for the follow-up message with an explanation, with context, with an apology, with something that would make this make sense. It never came. My hands were shaking as I pressed the call button. It rang once. Twice. 3 times. 4. Voicemail. I hung up and texted back, trying to keep my tone calm, trying not to sound hurt or angry or desperate. Emma, can we please talk about this? I watched the 3 dots appear, disappear, appear again. An hour passed. Finally, her reply came through. It's just easier this way. The venue is small, and it would be awkward with Derek's family. You'll still be able to see everything on the stream. Please don't make this harder than it is. I read that message 5 times. Easier. Awkward. Don't make this harder. That last line hit me like a slap. As if I was the problem. As if I was the one making things difficult by wanting to attend my only daughter's wedding. I sat down at the kitchen table, phone still in my hand, pasta forgotten and going cold in the microwave. I wasn't angry. Not yet. Anger would come later. In that moment, I felt something quieter. Something colder. Something that settled into my bones and changed the way I saw everything. That's when something inside me went completely still. What happened next didn't stop the wedding, but it changed everything after. Before I tell you what I did, I'm curious. Where are you watching from right now? Drop your country or city in the comments. I read more of them than you think. So why did I smile? Because in that moment, sitting in my quiet kitchen, staring at that cold, dismissive text, I realized something my daughter had completely forgotten. 6 months earlier, Emma and Derek had come to me in a panic. They'd found their dream venue, Riverside Estate, this gorgeous property overlooking the water, but they couldn't afford it. Not with their student loans, not with Derek's car payment, not with the down payment they were saving for a house. They needed help. So I stepped in. I paid the deposit for the venue. $5,000 non-refundable. I signed the contract because Emma's credit wasn't strong enough yet, and Derek's was somehow worse. My name went on the paperwork. My signature. My liability. I also paid for her wedding dress. $3,200 for the one she fell in love with, the one that made her cry in the fitting room. I covered the photographer's retainer, $1,500. I helped with the caterer's down payment, another $2,000. I didn't do it for leverage. I didn't do it to hold it over her head. I did it because I loved her, because I wanted her day to be perfect, because that's what mothers do. We take care of our children, even when they're grown, even when they don't ask nicely, even when they start to forget that we're the reason they can stand where they're standing. But sitting there that Tuesday night, holding that heartless text message, I understood something with perfect crystalline clarity. Emma thought she'd removed me from the equation. She thought she could uninvite me, relegate me to a screen, make me a passive observer in one of the most important moments of her life, and there would be no consequences. What she didn't realize was that I still owned the door, and the key was already in my hand, and for the first time in 2 years, I had a choice to make. Not out of revenge, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. I didn't respond to her text that night, or the next day. Emma didn't reach out again either. No follow-up. No, are you okay with this? No acknowledgement that she'd just done something devastating. Radio silence. I went to work. I came home. I lived my life. But inside, I was making calculations. I pulled out the venue contract and read it carefully. There was a clause about the primary signer having final authority over all financial decisions. Another about cancellation policies. Another about authorization for service on the day of the event. I wasn't planning to cancel anything, but I was planning to be present in a way she hadn't anticipated. 2 weeks before the wedding, I received a group text, not a personal message, but a mass announcement sent to all the guests. Hi everyone. Just a reminder that our wedding will be live-streamed for those who can't make it in person. Link to follow. I was lumped in with the distant cousins and old college friends who lived across the country. I didn't reply. 1 week before the wedding, my sister called me. Did you see Emma's text? She asked carefully. I did. Are you okay? I'm fine. You don't sound fine. I paused. I'm handling it. What does that mean? It means I'm not going to let my daughter treat me like I'm invisible and pretend everything is fine. My sister was quiet for a moment. Then she said, just be careful. You don't want to do something you can't take back. I won't, I promised. And I meant it. I wasn't interested in revenge. I was interested in boundaries. The wedding was on a Saturday in June. Beautiful weather. 72 degrees. Light breeze. Golden hour lighting that photographers dream about. I woke up that morning in my empty house and made coffee. I sat on my back porch and watched the sun rise. I thought about all the years I'd imagined this day, helping Emma get ready, fixing her veil, holding her hand before she walked down the aisle, crying happy tears in the front row. Instead, I'd be watching on a laptop screen. At 3 p.m., I opened my computer and clicked the live stream link. The camera was positioned at the back of the venue, pointed toward an elegant archway covered in white roses and greenery. Guests were filing in, dressed in their best. Soft music played. Everything looked perfect. At 3:30, the ceremony began. Derek walked out first, looking nervous and proud. Then the bridesmaids. Then finally Emma. My daughter. In the dress I'd bought. Walking down the aisle I'd paid for. Toward a future I'd helped make possible. And I wasn't there. She looked so beautiful. So radiant. So happy. I felt a strange, complicated mix of pride and heartbreak. Part of me wanted to reach through the screen and hug her. Part of me wanted to scream. Instead, I just watched. I saw Derek's parents in the front row, beaming with joy. I saw Emma's bridesmaids tearing up. I saw the officiant smile warmly as Emma and Derek joined hands. I saw everyone who mattered. Everyone except me. The vows were beautiful. The rings were exchanged. The officiant pronounced them married, and the screen erupted in virtual applause as guests clapped and cheered. Emma and Derek kissed. They turned toward the crowd, hands raised in triumph. The camera panned across the smiling faces. I was about to close my laptop to end this painful, surreal experience when my phone rang. Unknown number. For a second, I considered ignoring it, just like I'd been ignored. But I answered. Hello. Hi, is this Mrs. Morgan? A woman's voice, professional but stressed. Speaking. This is Claire from Riverside Estate. I'm so sorry to bother you, but we have a situation and I need to speak with you urgently. My heart skipped. What kind of situation? The final payment for the reception didn't go through. The card we have on file was declined, and we need the balance settled before we can begin serving dinner. Since you're listed as the primary on the contract, I needed to reach out to you directly. I paused. On my laptop screen, Emma and Derek were walking back down the aisle as husband and wife, waving to their guests, glowing with happiness. Mrs. Morgan? Are you there? I'm here, I said quietly. We need this resolved in the next 15 to 20 minutes, or we'll have to halt all reception services. Food, bar, music, everything. I took a slow breath. I'll need to call you back. Ma'am, I really need. I understand the urgency, Claire. Give me 10 minutes. I hung up. I sat there, phone in hand, staring at my laptop screen. Emma and Derek were now posing for photos near the archway. Laughing, kissing, surrounded by people who loved them, people who'd been invited. My thumb hovered over Emma's name in my contacts. I could call her. I could fix this quietly, the way I'd fixed everything else in her life. I could swallow my hurt one more time, pay the bill, and let the day continue as planned. No one would ever know I'd been the one holding it all together. Just like always. But something stopped me. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was self-preservation. Maybe it was finally reaching my limit. I texted Emma instead. The venue just called me. The final payment didn't go through. Do you know anything about this? I watched the 3 dots appear. Then disappear. Then appear again. 3 minutes passed. Then 5. Then 7. Finally a response, but not from Emma. From Derek's mother's number. Hi. Can you just handle it for now? We're in the middle of photos. We'll pay you back next week. Thanks. Thanks. As if I was the caterer. As if I was staff. As if I hadn't already given thousands of dollars and been thanked by being uninvited from the ceremony. I stared at that message for a long time. Then I called Claire back. Hi, Claire. It's Mrs. Morgan. Oh, thank God. Can you provide payment authorization? I'd like to discuss my options regarding the contract first. There was a pause. I'm sorry. I'm listed as the primary on the financial agreement, correct? Yes, ma'am. And that means I have final authority over payment authorization and service continuation? Another pause, longer this time. I could hear the wheels turning. Mrs. Morgan, the reception is happening right now. Guests are already seated. The bridal party is finishing photos. We're supposed to begin service in 10 minutes. I'm aware. If you decline to authorize payment, we'll have to stop everything. The food, the bar, the music, the staff, everything shuts down. Do you understand what I'm saying? I closed my eyes. I need you to give me the phone number for whoever's coordinating things on site. The wedding planner or point person. Ma'am, I don't think. Please, Claire. She gave me the number. I hung up and texted it to Emma. The venue needs payment authorization within the next 10 minutes, or they'll stop the reception. I've been told to handle it. I need to hear from you directly, not Derek's mother, before I do anything. Then I waited. My phone exploded. First Emma. Then Derek. Then Derek's mother. Then the wedding planner. Then one of the bridesmaids. Call after call after call. I didn't answer any of them. Finally, Emma left a voicemail. I could hear the panic in her voice, the tears, the desperation. Mom, please. Please pick up. Please don't do this. I'm sorry, okay? I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. I was stressed and people were in my ear and I just, please. Please don't ruin my wedding. We'll fix this. I'll fix this. I promise. Just please don't do this. I listened to it twice. Then I texted her back. I'm not ruining anything, Emma. I'm simply stepping back, like you asked me to. Her response came within seconds. That's not what I meant and you know it. I typed slowly, carefully. Then maybe you should have been clearer. Maybe you should have thought about how your words would feel. Maybe you should have remembered who's been supporting you all along. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Mom, please, I'm begging you. We can talk about this after. Please just let them serve dinner. Everyone's watching. I took a breath. Then I called Claire. Mrs. Morgan? Authorize the payment, I said quietly. Let the reception continue. Oh, thank God. Thank you. I'll process it right now. Claire. Yes. After today, I want my name removed from any future financial obligations related to this event. Any outstanding balances, any additional charges, those go to the couple directly. Understood. I hung up and sent one final text to Emma. The reception will continue. But we need to talk. Really talk. After today. She didn't respond. On my laptop screen, I watched as servers began bringing out food. The bar opened. Music started playing. Derek and Emma had their first dance. Everything continued as planned. Beautiful. Perfect. Seamless. As if nothing had happened. But everything had changed. Emma didn't contact me the next day. Or the day after that. I went back to work. I tended my garden. I had dinner with my sister, who asked how I was holding up. I'm okay, I told her. And I meant it. On the third day, Emma texted. Can I come over? Yes. She arrived an hour later, still looking exhausted from the wedding and honeymoon whirlwind. Her eyes were red. We sat in my living room. The same room where she'd done homework as a kid, where we'd watched movies on Friday nights, where I'd held her when her first boyfriend broke her heart. She cried before she even started talking. Mom, I'm so sorry. I waited. I don't even know why I sent that text. I was overwhelmed and Derek's mom kept saying things about the guest list and the seating chart, and I felt like I couldn't make anyone happy. So I made the worst decision possible. You made me feel invisible, I said quietly. She flinched. I know. You erased me from one of the most important days of your life and expected me to be okay with it. I know. Her voice cracked. And then when I needed to hear from you, when the venue called and everything was falling apart, you had Derek's mother text me like I was a vendor. She put her face in her hands. I know. I'm so sorry, Mom. I let the silence sit for a moment. Then I said something I'd been holding in for months, maybe years. Emma, I didn't ruin your wedding. I stopped it from continuing without consequences. You made me feel like I didn't matter, and I let you see what that actually looked like. That's all I did. She looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. I love you, I continued. I will always love you. But love doesn't mean I let you treat me like I'm disposable. It doesn't mean I show up when it's convenient and disappear when it's not. You don't get to erase me from your life and still expect me to hold everything together behind the scenes. I never wanted to erase you, she whispered. But you did, whether you meant to or not. She nodded, trembling, unable to speak. I'm your mother, Emma. Not your bank. Not your backup plan. Not someone you can turn on and off depending on what you need. I'm a person. And I deserve to be treated like one. You're right, she said, her voice barely audible. You're completely right. I forgive you, I said. But things are going to be different now. I need you to understand that. She looked at me with swollen, desperate eyes. Different how? I need respect. I need honesty. I need you to include me in your life because you want me there, not because you need something from me. I do want you there, Mom. I swear I do. Then show me. Not with words, with actions. She nodded again, wiping her eyes. I will. I promise. That was 4 months ago. Emma and I are rebuilding. Slowly. Carefully. She calls more now, not just when she needs something, but to talk. To ask how I'm doing. To share small moments from her day. She invited me to dinner at her and Derek's new apartment. She asked for my advice on decorating. She remembered my birthday without a reminder. Small things. But they matter. It's not perfect. We're not back to where we were before. Maybe we never will be. But it's real now. There's honesty in it. There's respect. Because I set a boundary. And I held it. I didn't yell. I didn't insult her. I didn't try to hurt her. I simply stopped protecting her from the consequences of her own choices. And sometimes that's the most loving thing a parent can do. I think about that night often. Sitting alone in my kitchen, reading that text, feeling that coldness settle into my chest. I think about the smile. People have asked me since then. Weren't you scared? Weren't you worried you'd lose her forever? Honestly? Yes. But I was more scared of teaching her that I didn't matter. That she could treat me however she wanted, and I'd just take it. Because that's not love. That's not family. That's just disappearing. And I'd already been doing that for too long. So if you're watching this and you've ever felt invisible in your own child's life, or anyone's life, I want you to know something. Your presence matters. Your boundaries matter. And walking away, even temporarily, even painfully, doesn't mean you love someone less. Sometimes it means you love yourself enough to demand better. Because sometimes the most powerful thing a parent can do is step back and let the silence speak. If stories like this remind you that you're not alone, and that quiet strength matters, consider subscribing. These stories take time to tell, and I'm glad you stayed for this one. Thank you for listening.